welcome to Basani Pretty's channel. As you can see, in our midst we have the gorgeous lady. She's been an inspiration to me, and she moved from just an inspiration to a mentor. After that, she's a colleague. So welcome. Her name is Sagwati Sebapu.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, colleague.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
It's an honor. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity that was afforded to me to just have a one-on-one talk with you.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just want to understand, like from the beginning, who is Sagwati Sebapu?
Wow.
Yeah.
Sagwati Sebapu was born Sagwati Shirilele, raised in Kowankowa, Zanin, Limpopo province. I'm the last of 3 children, so I have an older sister and an older brother, raised by both my mother and now my late mother, and my father, who's now 75 years old. So I grew up in Zanin. I had a normal, I'll say middle class childhood. My father was a school principal and my mother was a school inspector. So we're very typical township family, yes.
All right, beautiful. I think that explains why she's so gorgeous. So, do you mind sharing about your school life to the person that you are now? Yes. Okay.
So I attended crèche at Kowankowa, like I said, and I did my grade 1 and grade 2, which was sub A and sub B at Kowankowa Lower Primary. And my parents thought maybe to get a better education in standard 1, they took me to Kanyisa Education Center in Giani.
I know the school.
The school,
Yeah.
yes. I was there for 1 year, staying with a wonderful nurse who was our neighbor in Konkwa, but she was working as a nurse in Giani, so she looked after me during that year. Then standard 2, I moved back to Zanin and attended this Model C school, Unicorn Preparatory School in Zanin.
Oh.
That's where I actually got to grow and to experience myself and to see another side of life outside of the township. Then for my standard 6, I went to Merinsky High School, also in Zanin. I'll say the weird part was that school, I was schooled in English in Afrikaans. Okay. So I'm very fluent in Afrikaans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, extract via.
Like a wow,
like
beautiful.
a real Afrikaneries.
No, I hear it. I can't get to your level. For me, we end clear more and we are done.
No, I can actually pray in Afrikaans because I was a school prefect.
Wow.
I was the first black prefect at Merinsky High School. So you had to speak both languages, English and Afrikaans, so I had to be fluent in both languages.
Wow, beautiful.
Yes.
Wow. Wow, so it means when you go to other countries where there's those specific people, you are able to interact and get where you want to be or what you want.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Even here in South Africa, I think it had, my command of Afrikaans has helped me also to be able to work with Afrikaans people, Afrikaans-speaking people, and people from different backgrounds also as well. It's always an added advantage.
Wow,
yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So that was then. How did you become an occupational therapist? I think I'm interested in your journey on how, from that high school, how did you figure out you wanted to do what you're doing?
Yes.
Why the specific thing that you are doing at the moment?
I've always been artistic and creative and love to think outside of the box. So when I was in standard 7 at Merinsky, they did what they call aptitude tests. So these are the tests that sort of determine your strengths, and they sort of match you to a career or a profession. So funny enough for me, my top one was the top two was occupational therapy or law.
Wow.
So what happened, I didn't know what occupational therapy was, like many black children or people with our background. Yes, so but I did now my research. I went around doing my research, but I still chose law because my cousin was a lawyer. So here I am, post-matric, registered at UP to study law. So on my record, it can be put that I did law for 1 week.
So you did law for 1 week?
I attended law for 1 week, and I don't know if it's the Holy Spirit or a voice that said you don't belong here. And that's when I packed my bags and I went to occupational therapy.
You were like, no more. I'm not going there.
After 1 week.
After 1 week. I'm interested. What really made you to think I don't belong here, like in that small space of time? Because 1 week it's very small, and most people, they get to know that they're not doing what they like after 4 years of doing the whole degree. So how did you figure that in 1 week?
That's what I say, it was like maybe a spiritual encounter, but I just felt I do not belong in that class or in that setting. And I was convicted, maybe because occupational therapy maybe was number one choice, but because of fear of unfamiliarity. I mean, we all know a lot of lawyers, but you can't even count the number of occupational therapists that you know, especially back then. By the way, this was like in 2000, 2001. So that's a good 20 years ago.
We're not even born.
How colleague? Now you're my colleague. I was like,
wow, interesting.
Exactly. So that I did not even know a single black occupational therapist by then. But I think maybe sitting in that class, I said, why don't I do this thing that I don't know anybody to have studied or to have done? So maybe it was to venture into something new, to try something new. Because like I said, in my family, we were already having lawyers, but we didn't have an occupational therapist. So maybe it was like, you're going to be the first occupational therapist in your family.
Wow. I think I should say I'm impressed. I'm impressed. The fact that you pressed on and you pursued it even after recognizing after that week that, okay, I'm not going to let my fear get the hands of me. I'm going to continue and do what I want, even though I'll be the first one. I'm ready to conquer the world. So that for me, guys, that for me is it. That for me is it. Wow. Wow. So I think before you mentioned that one of your parents passed on. Do you want to share the challenges that you came across when she passed on? What stage of your life she passed on? You can even share broad what could have been the effect, and what would you do to help people that have lost someone at that particular stage of their life? In general.
Thank you so much. Yes, my mom passed on in 2016 after an illness. She had cancer. I'm free enough to share that. She had a cancer of the colon, and she fought it right until the end. It was very difficult for us because my mother was the matriarch and the pillar of the family. And when she became sick, I think for me, the last December, the last time that I was with her, realizing that she is a shadow of herself, I think it gave me peace too. You know, sometimes when you hear people say that she's in a better place, you know, or when somebody passes on, they're in a better place. So for me, at that point, I felt that for her to be here on earth, really, she's not in a good place. She can now transition to a better place because she was suffering, she was struggling, she couldn't eat by that time, she couldn't do anything. My father was helping her, she could not even get out of bed. So the quality of life was no longer there. She was a shadow of herself. So it was very difficult for my family to see her deteriorate from being such a strong woman, Like I said, she was the pillar, raising 3 kids, raising my nephew also as well. She was a career woman. Like I said, she was in what they called back then inspector, and she was at quite a senior level. So, and she was active in the church. She was active in the ANC. She was very, 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 very active. So to see her not being able to do anything for herself, it was very, very difficult. And at the time of her passing, I always tell people, when you have dealt with a person who is sick in your life, you must know that we don't mourn when the person passes away. We had already started mourning because we had lost her technically 4, 5, 6 months later. And that's why that's why the journey is so difficult to explain to somebody who hasn't walked this journey. Because mourning starts even when the person is still here, but when you see that they're a shadow of themselves, they're not able to do themselves, already you see the loss, even though the hope is always there that they'll get better, but you see where it's going, and maybe that medical knowledge.
Yes, I think also being an occupational therapist,
it plays against you. You know that now this is terminal. It's going towards the end.
Wow.
So it was a difficult journey, but the Lord has healed my heart. I've made peace with it. It's not easy. Sometimes I'm angry with God, like festive season is very difficult for me because we used to gather at home together and she would cook. She's a great cook. One of the reasons my husband married me is because she made oxtail for him.
Wow.
And he was impressed.
Wow. So you're married?
So I got married because of her.
Oh, okay. You're married?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Beautiful. Yeah, I think from your story, when sometimes time comes and you have to let go, you are forced to let go. And I think it was brave for you to accept her while she was still alive. So I just want to ask, you mentioned that she used to go to church. Do you go to church? How's your spirituality?
I'm definitely a church girl. I was raised in the church. I've always loved church. So my background, like many people from Kongwa, Giyani, those areas, my parents belonged to the church, EPC, Evangelical Presbyterian Church. It's known as Swiss Mission. So they made us go to Sunday school every single week. So they were very, very, I'll say religious, and it helped me to be grounded. Then my grandmother one day invited me to a tent meeting. She stayed in Bushbuck Ridge and I went to a tent, and that's when I was introduced to salvation and being born again, and that's when I just really loved that, and I thank my grandmother for that. She was a great woman of faith, and I got born again at the age of 13. Wow. I always tell people I don't know any other life. All I know is church.
Wow.
You take me out of church, I'll be like a fish. I'll probably die. So I grew, I pushed. Like any other child, I had my teenage challenges also as well. I had many questions also. Getting to tertiary, you get introduced to other religions as well. You meet friends of different religions. So I've had my questions here where people refer to the men upstairs, and then you're like, oh, okay, so we have the same God, who's the man upstairs? Until you come back again full circle to realize that, no, you cannot refer to our God as a man upstairs. It's not appropriate. So I've heard those things where you look at Hinduism. My best friend in high school, she was an Indian girl who happened to be Hindu. So I learned a lot about Hinduism at that stage. But I believe it opened my mind even to love Christianity even more. Yes.
So how were you able to keep your friendship with different religions?
Definitely having an open mind. So for me, like I'm saying again, being firmly rooted in the religious, starting with the religious background, church background, and then moving on now to accepting Christ as my Lord and Savior for myself. That caused me to be grounded, but I definitely had an open mind. And I think even today I can relate to people of different religions, different backgrounds, different faiths because of that. Because I know my belief, I know where I stand. I mean, you've been at the practice. I mean, one of my consultants is Muslim, the other consultant is a Hindu. So I'm open-minded, and I like to learn from other people also as well. Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful. I think getting to that point whereby you don't use your religion against each other, I think that's a good thing, because at the end of the day, we are human beings and we need to co-work together. So that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So do you have a specific church, or you're still going to the same church as before?
So currently I'm a member of Emmanuel Christian Church. Churches actually in Arcadia. I've been there for 14 years. So it's my church. Actually, yesterday that I was saying that I do not know any other pastor except for Apostle Vincent for the past 14 years. Before that, I had been in my university church where I was very, very active. So that was my church. For the 4 years that I was in tertiary, I identified with the Student Christian Fellowship, and I must say that is where I grew in leaps and bounds. I was pushed to another level of my Christian walk through the church at Medunsa and through the teachings of our Christian Student Fellowship, learning to pray, learning to fast, learning to read the scriptures, learning to worship. That's where I believe that I was formed, and definitely the growth then came in when I came to Emmanuel Christian Church. Yes.
Do you think you would have been what you are if you were not a Christian?
I know one thing. I know that I am a very when I'm convicted of something, I go with it full force.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe that it's grace that has kept me in the faith, because I believe if I was a person who consumes alcohol, I would excel in that also as well.
We'll see you somewhere.
If I was a dancer, a hip-hop dancer, I would be excelling in that area also as well. So I'm that person. So definitely I would not be where I am if it was not for the things that have happened in my life, the grooming and whatever. But in whatever area I'd be, I know that I would be firm and I'd be steadfast. Whether good, bad, or whatever, I know that. Yeah, and that's why I believe it's very difficult. It will be difficult to shift me. I'm not easily swayed. Yes. So for me, it is great. If I was dancing on tables, trust me, I'd be the best dancer on tables in Pretoria.
Shout out to parents. Shout out to parents. Wow. Interesting. Wow. So what advice would you give to others who are not in faith, who are not going to church, and who have already started consuming substances?
Wow. Number one, without being judgmental or condemning anybody, for me, I believe that my Christianity has molded me, molded my character and my behavior. I don't know where I would be now if it wasn't for that. So I'd encourage people to find a home, a church where you can belong to, because that's what has preserved our lives. I'm not here because of my own wisdom, I'm better than others or more clever than others. I believe that the teachings that I've received in the church have molded my character. They mold the places where I go to. There are things I'll never do just because I've been taught and molded also. And as we know, the Bible says that many things are permissible. All things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial.
Yeah.
So everybody, it's permitted to live a life that you want, but is it beneficial? And is it part of your purpose also as well? So for me, indulging in other things is not beneficial. As permissible as it is, it's not beneficial for where I want to see my life going one day.
Wow, it is permissible, but not beneficial.
Not
Wow,
at all.
shout out, shout out, shout out. So, going back, so I know you're an occupational therapist.
Yes.
Where do you work currently? I heard you talking about the practice. I know it personally, but
Yes.
I want you to expand on that. How did you start?
Wow.
Did you start when you were married? Or maybe we can start from the marriage. Did you start the practice before marriage, or you started the practice after marriage? How did you work around that?
Maybe the easiest way to explain this would be to look at my life between 2006. Let's start 2006. So in 2006, that's when I completed my 2005, 2006. I then started working. We have to do community service in occupational therapy. So I did my community service in a very small hospital, very, very small hospital.
Away from everything.
In Burgersfort, the hospital called Mecklenburg, in a small village of Moroke. So coincidentally, that's where I met my husband, because he was auditing the hospital.
Wow.
He was doing asset management. Then bumped into each other also in Burgersfort in town, and then as they say, the rest is history. But what I always knew is that I wanted to be in private practice. So in 2007, I applied for mentorship and a job at a practice in Pretoria, because my cousin, who's a lawyer, back to the cousin who's a lawyer, recommended this older white lady. Her name is Gail Flock. She's an occupational therapist, and said, no, she can mentor you and train you to be a good occupational therapist in private practice. So there I was applying for a job at Gail Flock, and she's just been a blessing in my life. So I spent about a year and a few months under the mentorship of Gail Flock, and she taught me specifically the work that I'm doing now.
Okay.
Then I got married while there at Gail Flock in 2008 December.
Wow.
Yes, but then in 2009 June, that's when I started my private practice.
Wow.
6 months into marriage. It was an easy decision. It was not an easy decision in this way. My husband said, it's good, I hear you want to start a private practice, but I know business, I understand business. It's not easy at the beginning, so we need to downgrade or downscale, not to be able to live on a single salary, because now he was going to be the primary breadwinner or the only breadwinner, the frequent one. So we learned to live on his salary. So we had to downgrade on the car, sell things and so forth. And that's how I started my practice, with the financial advice and assistance of my husband.
Wow.
So I started off co-renting in Pretoria North, Teresa Park, with a colleague, Adelaide Pasha.
Wow.
She's a close friend of mine. Yes.
Wow.
You know her.
Yes. I think now it makes sense. Some of the things are coming back to
The
my mind.
relationship.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're still very close with Adelaide. So in 2009, 2010, roundabout, then we're sharing space in Pretoria North. And I believe she was also a great blessing and a help and a colleague. We shared a lot of information, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, but a lot of highs more than lows also as well. Until around 2012, where both our practices grew.
Wow.
That we could no longer share space anymore. And that's when I got my own space in Montana, and had my own rooms there for about 2 years, until we moved to Centurion in 2014. And that's when I then expanded my practice to a bigger space.
Wow.
So maybe here in Centurion, quickly before you come in, I was first renting at a very nice place, the Visible Busy Road, on the main road here in Centurion. But then my husband said to me, no, this place is costly. Why don't we buy a place for you? And by doing that, almost our rent halved. So even the place where we are now is our own property.
Wow.
And a wiser decision to move from renting to buying, and halving our expenses also at that. It's not at a prime location, but in occupational therapy, you don't need to be on the main street. It's one of the things. It's not like a Nando's or a, sorry to mention names, fast food outlet, or a clothing shop that needs to be visibly seen. You know, we market through our service. We grow through word of mouth, our service that we give, and so forth. And so those are some of the decisions that have gotten us to where we are now.
Wow, 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 wow. Wow, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. I think I'm starting to connect the dots. I'm starting to connect the dots and understanding what it can take for you to get elsewhere. She had to downgrade in some part of her life.
Yes.
So if you are one willing to start again, be willing to take some of the things out for you to pursue your career,
Yes.
pursue your
Yeah.
degrees.
Yeah. But the truth is, you know, if research says that business takes about 2 to 3 years to stabilize and to really make an income. So for most people, what they don't know is that for 2 years, you might not even have a stable income. It might be drips and drabs there. So if you haven't downgraded, moved back home, wherever you need to downgrade, stopped eating out every second day. For 2 years, you know, that's how long it takes a business to really, really stabilize and really be profit generating. Well, a good business, let's say that. So we prepared ourselves for those two years. So for anybody starting off, whether in occupational therapy or in any business, I would say for you, wait for your business to stabilize before getting, you know, buying stuff, getting into expenses, you know, buying a bigger car, you know, getting into a bigger house and so on. Wait out your business for about 2 years, 3 years, and see that it has stabilized.
Wow. Wow, guys, I'm taking this one for myself. I'm taking this one for myself. This is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. Your journey is a book.
Yeah.
If I was a writer, I was taking this upon myself and start writing. I think I'm gonna perfect that skill.
Please do that.
Yeah,
Please
so that I
do
can
that.
personally come and write a bibliography
Yes.
of Mrs. Sagwati Sebapu.
I would love that because I love bibliographies. I like telling, our stories need to be heard. Our story needs to be heard. In fact, on that there's a biography that I just wanna quickly go to. Like I said, I love biographies, and this specific one is a Basitsana Kumalo's one. And she says something very, very powerful in one of her books that really, really touched my heart. She says she felt the need to tell her own story because there were lies being told out there or mistruths being told about her. And she says she wrote this book because a lie told into history lives as truth. So anything that's said into history becomes the truth, whether it's a lie, you know, about, you know, I might know Pretty in a different way, and I tell that story. So she said she refused for other people to tell her story. So she took control and wrote a book so that she can tell the truth, that her children and children's children may know the truth, not what they by what they find on Google or on the internet, but by what she has written. So we need to definitely write our stories ourselves.
Yeah, wow,
Yes.
wow. If you don't correct the wrongs that people are telling about you, no one will.
Yes.
So wow, that's really inspirational. I hear you. I think it's starting to sink in. This life thing, it doesn't want you to approach it with nice things. You need to be smart and clever.
Yes.
So how did you deal with, I'm not sure if you dealt with or you've come across that, but just saying it in the passing, for instance, you had to downgrade from a certain level to another level, and obviously we the audience are looking, she's no longer going out as often.
Exactly.
How did you deal with the stigma of people talking and so on, and how did you feel? What kept you going? Yeah.
I wanted to also mention my pastor, my bishop, Apostle Vincent Luat. You know, we were talking in passing, and he was reminding me or telling me that business is dynamic. Things will always change. And little did I know that, for example, he was preparing us for periods like the COVID period, 2020.
Yes.
And I mean, like, he spoke these words, 2012, and I might not have understood when he said business is dynamic. And it's true, business is dynamic. This month, you might hit your targets and make, I'll just give us an amount, and make 50,000 rands. You've hit your target. Next month, circumstances might prevail or come to play. Then you hit 10,000.
Yeah.
So that's business being dynamic. So as a business person, you need to be able to move and go through the months and the challenges, knowing that business is dynamic.
Yeah.
With that said, I'll go to 2020. For us, it was probably one of the most difficult periods of my practice life, because remember, we couldn't work for about 6-7 months. We couldn't, in private practice, we're not allowed to see clients in the line of work that I am doing, medico-legal work and vocational rehabilitation. So the words of Apostle, when he used to say you need to live within your means, they really came to play, and they really, like I said, this is what molds our character, molds our behavior, those teachings that we get, going back to what I said about the church. So I'm so grateful that at that point we were living within our means. We were, you know, not living, you know, kadikolo or from hand to mouth or whatever. You know, I'll say our finances were in order to be able to sustain us through the difficult period of 2020. So we had to go to our savings. Had we not saved, had we not been living in our means, I'm not sure where we would be now. So those are some of the challenges that we've definitely had to weather. But yeah, remembering that business is dynamic. It won't always be green, and it won't always be brown. So you need to be able to go through the storms. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, yeah. I'm feeling the heat. Someone bring water. Okay, it's okay. Wow, this is a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story. You mentioned that you are in medico-legal.
Yes.
Why medico-legal?
Why medico-legal? Mostly because I like talking and I like writing. I like putting my thoughts on paper. I don't want to say I'm not a good clinical occupational therapist. Like I said, I can be good in anything. I'm one of those people. But I don't think I enjoy clinical work. I don't enjoy working in a hospital. It's not me. And there are people who thrive and are very good with clinical work. I also don't enjoy working with children, particularly.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I've got one.
Is it because you don't like kids, you don't want to now have a crèche, or...
Please, I don't want to fight with people, but children stress me. My friend, one of my besties has 3 kids. I'm always like, oh, children stress me.
Especially when they start crying and you don't know what to take and what to do, how to put 2 things together to make 3 or 1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even though many people say it's easier to raise more than one child, our journey, by the grace of God, has been that of parenting one child. So, but I knew that I don't want to work with children. They require a certain level of patience, a certain level of understanding, which is not my strong point. So how I got to medico-legal, back to my cousin who's a lawyer, said, you know, in occupational therapy, you can actually mix this law thing and occupational therapy. And that's why medico-legal. So my 1 week in law was not a waste.
After all, I mean, you were one step to
Exactly.
the next direction, which will help you.
Yes, and by the way, I did go back and do a course in labor law after qualifying as an occupational therapist.
Wow.
So there is a relationship. So in medico-legal, we work mostly, as the statement says, we are looking at medicine and law and putting them together, or looking at the medical and law and putting them together. So I love both. I love writing, I love talking. So as part of my job, for example, I have to go and be what they call an expert witness in court, give testimony in court. So I enjoy doing that. I enjoy engaging with people. We write reports that are used in the court of law, that are used with in insurance companies. So I enjoy that part. I believe I'm a skilled writer. And I express my thoughts very well in writing.
Wow. Hey, again, I'm like, okay, when you mentioned you did labor law course, I'm like, so after occupational therapists, are there any other qualifications that you have acquired? I think my mind is driving me through that direction. Do you mind sharing on that specific aspect? Because I feel like there's more.
I might, let's start here. Yes, I am one that really enjoys learning, and I've not always formalized it, but I'm a big learner and student. I attend a lot of courses, something just to trigger my mind and get my mind going. So yes, I did the course in labor law, and then after that I also did my master's in business administration. So I do have my MBA, and I did that because I wanted to understand the business side of running a private practice, and also looking at other business opportunities also as well. And yeah, then in 2020 I also then did a course as an executive and business coach through UCT. So I am a certified business and executive coach. Yes. So I always think that, did I ever want to be a coach when I did this? Was I bored in 2020 and 2021? And also finding how it comes together with my occupational therapy. And mostly I believe that I've always been a coach. That you said I've mentored you, I'm a mentor, everything, but there are many people that I coach informally. So, but now I also understand what coaching is, and as much as I did the business and management one or executive one, you know, there are many people that I'm coaching through life situations also as well, coaching through career-wise, coaching through family also as well, and yeah.
So. How often do you do the business coaching? How does it fall back to your routine, your life? How does your daily schedule look like?
So on the coaching part and the mentoring part, I'm currently doing it as, I'll say, a gift or a free will offering. So there are people who have said to me, please formally mentor me. There are people who say, come and coach me. Yes, my schedule is a little bit tight, but what I try to do is, like with one person, I do every 2 weeks. We have a catch-up session, we have a session together. So like I'll do every Thursday morning, I'll know from 10 to 11. It's mostly online, especially to save time, like I'm saying, because I work full-time as an occupational therapist. So that's the level of investment I am at now. I do not have too many people currently to coach and to mentor formally, but I have to pencil them in my diary and make time for them. And it's also teaching me time management, more prioritizing, because I do have those that will, on the Thursday or on the day that we meet, they already put in my calendar in 2 Thursdays we're meeting again.
Yeah.
So it's there. I can't get out of it. So I'm also learning discipline. I'm also growing, by the way. Every day is a school day. That's one of the mottos I live by. Every day is a school day, which means every day is a learning day. We should never stop learning.
Wow. I think I've heard this quote before and from her, so the fact that it's repeated the second time.
Yes. Every day is a school day.
Every day is a school day. I think allowing yourself to learn as well and know that you can't all of a sudden become a superhero. You need to go through something and learn and be clever. Wow.
And you can learn for those who, I don't want to say are lower or younger than you, less experienced than you, walking a different route to you, and so forth. So we don't only learn from people who are older, more educated, have more money from us. I need to be able to learn even from a person who is younger than me. I can use a simple example. You know, my son will be saying, "Mommy, that's not how you pronounce that word." I can't say, "What do you know? Me, I'm paying your school fees, you know." I must say, "Also, how do they pronounce it?" And then I take it from him. You know, I can learn from you. Like you said, you were not born when I passed matric. But I can learn from you. You know, there are things that I can learn from you. I can learn this YouTube thing. I can learn this kind of life. I can also learn different ways of occupational therapy, because occupational therapy has changed and evolved also as well. So I need to be open-minded to learn.
Wow. You never learn from an older person only, but also the younger generations. Apparently, you are being told things, new information, new skills come with the new generation. So we need to embrace them and also coach them to the right direction.
That's
wow.
Correct.
Thank you so much for such an inspirational conversation. It's really I don't even know how to explain it, because I feel like I've taken a lot. And I'm just like, I was looking at this woman every day coming to church, always on her best, and I'm like, but I didn't think you had to do all these things. So wow. So we have questions. So initially I had taken out a poster to tell people, because like the way I looked at you, I was like, yo, Miss Sebapu, yo, I really need to know her story. And I was just wondering, is there more people that are thinking the same as me? So I've asked what I wanted to know, but I think there are others, and I also have others who have sent out questions. We had around 50 questions.
Wow.
I had to stop it because
they were still coming.
They were still coming, and I was just like, yo.
Wow.
Yeah. I think one of the questions that came in a lot was, how did you start your practice? People were interested in how you started your practice.
Did I answer it?
Yes, I think you did. And then the other one was, how do you do it in marriage? So I was like, it came about 10 times. I don't want to lie.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, should I go and ask? But I'm like, okay, maybe it's going to help someone.
Yes,
so
of course.
That's
why I say this discussion must be, there are no restricted areas. You must ask everything.
So how do you do it?
How do you do it? Or how do I do what?
Marriage. How do you do marriage with so many things on your plate?
Oh, wonderful. I have to say, this question is asked so often. Was it February, end of January? I was speaking at vision board party where one lady, her name is Tess, she owns a company called Ramina Creatives. She invited me to come and speak. And that question is always like, how do you manage it? And my answer is simple. You can't manage it because it's a lot, and the demands are a lot. So my take on how do you balance life, is to be present.
Wow.
And what do I mean by being present? I mean that when I'm at work, let me focus on doing work and not other things. So that when I knock off from work, I'm coming to my husband, I can focus on my husband, and the work now does not come home. And to a point that when I'm now focused on my husband and on my son when I'm here at home, work is not an issue because I have covered my 8 hours, 9 hours of work. And now even if I have 2-3 hours with them, those 3 hours are valuable because I am fully focused on them. I am present with them. So I always say to people, learn to create moments. So like I'm saying, my typical day, how do I do it all? So 6 a.m. I start at the gym, my typical day. I'm at the gym 6 a.m. Let's start. 5 a.m. I'm attending prayer with Apostle. It's my moment. I've created that. And I am fully present in that moment. Then I know 6 a.m. I'm at the gym on a normal day until 7. When I'm at the gym, I'm there to gym. I'm not there to play or to do other things. So that's my moment with gym. And when it's finished, it's finished. I do not take my gym life now to work. I'm at the office 8 o'clock until 3, 4. I'm working. I'm not thinking about gym. I'm not doing other things that I'm not supposed to be doing there. I do, and I focus on my work. Create a moment. So for example, I said my son cannot be in school transport. My time with my son to balance my life is to be the one who picks him up from school. So I have a nice 30 minutes in the car for one-on-one session with my son, and we can really engage. It's not a lot of time, but it's our moment. And when I'm with him, I'm not busy on my phone. I'm not busy thinking about work. I'm not busy thinking about other things. It's our precious moment together. Then we're talking about balance. I'm still on balance, eh? Then I get home. I want to make a nice supper and a dinner for my family. And one of the things when I say create moments, we literally sit around a table every single night. No phone, no TV. For 30 minutes, it's the 3 of us. We are engaging fully. So that if I have to go and study in the evening, or I have to go do extra work in the evening, my family has had the best of me for that hour and a half, for that 30 minutes. And I have balanced the equation by spending uninterrupted time with them. So when I move on to my friends, other activities, I am fully present. My friends know when we go out, my phone stays in the bag. Why? Because I want to be fully present in that moment. We can take pictures, it's nice and so on, but I believe I owe my friends undivided attention. I can't be with my friend and I'm busy checking, hey, is the house burning? How's work? What is happening? Then I'm not present, and that's when I'm not. So that when I'm done with that 30 minutes with my friend or an hour with my friend, I have given her my best and I can move on to other things. So for me, balance is about being present and by enjoying the moments. Whether it's 8 hours or 30 minutes or 10 minutes, I am fully present and I'm enjoying that. And that's how I do it all. I'm present. And definitely you need to prioritize what is important for you. So when I go to church also on Sunday, I'm at church. I'm not sitting there chatting to my friends or whatever. That's balance. I'm making sure that I get my, my spiritual food and so forth and so forth. So one of the things that I see that are robbing most people is we're not present in the moment. We're all over the place. Instead of being present in the moment, we're not creating opportunities to really enjoy the things that we have around us. And also, we're not prioritizing the important stuff.
Wow. She literally defined occupational therapy. She literally balance. So guys, wow. She literally did that. And I was about to ask her, we've been talking about occupational therapy, but what is it?
Yes.
Because I think me and you understand what occupational therapy is, but there are others who do not know. They just occupational therapy. Where? How? There's still people who are like, what do they do?
Yes.
So yeah, I just want to
Yes.
maybe open a floor for that so that I can continue with some of the
Yes.
questions.
Maybe the easiest way to explain occupational therapy is we look at occupations. And what are occupations? Occupations are things that we engage in. So a child's occupation is what? School and play. That's occupation. So when, as an occupational therapy, when there's a problem with the child's school or their play, we come in and want to help them to be able to engage optimally in their occupation. That's why, for example, we can work with children who are struggling in school, children who may be having a learning disability. That's why if a child's occupation is play, a child who cannot walk or crawl, that's why we can also work with those children, because we want to optimize their ability to engage in play. For us as adults, occupation is work. So if I can't work because my leg is sore, then as an occupational therapist, we come in to see how we can then engage in work. For a grandmother who's no longer working, what's their occupation? Maybe knitting is their occupation, or bowling, or they're sitting at home, they're a pensioner. We engage them in what is relevant to their age group, and we make sure they're able to function optimally in that area. So that's a summary of occupational therapy. We deal with occupations at any age. Occupations, we don't mean work only, we mean what is age appropriate and age relevant, yes.
Wow, wow. Because I think I often get the question, what is occupational therapy? What do you guys do? You just play with toys.
Yes.
And I was so offended one of the times. I was like, you know what? Sit here, let me explain to you word by word by word by word. But I think you have explained it much more better.
Yes,
now,
it's a science of dealing with occupations.
And looking at things holistically.
Yes.
So I think you've answered most of the questions that they had answered through our conversation,
Yes.
and some of the things that we talked about. But there are 3 more questions that are here that I think you can also answer. The first question is, how can a young lady build their confidence? How can they build their confidence?
Wow, that's a very good question. Yeah, I'm also a lot about that also as well, because growing up, for example, some of my friends at school used to tease me about my voice because it's a little bit deep.
But you can, you're convincing.
Yes, but I had to love my voice because it was not a typical, like, oh, girl, speak with high-toned voice. And for some people, you know, I remember my mother said to me that, why would you allow a person to make you feel bad about something you cannot change? It's your voice, it's the voice that God gave you. So those are some of the things that have helped me with my confidence also as well. Number one, the role of a parent also as well. I was very fortunate to have very loving and very supportive parents, you know. They would be telling you, oh, you look so pretty, you look so nice with your nice dark skin, you know. I'm dark skinned like my dad, you know, my mom was fair skinned. But you know, they would just like, oh, you look so nice, you've got your dad's skin, you're not gonna age, you know, they'll give those kinds of compliments, you know, or that color looks so nice on your skin also as well. So that really built my confidence through my parents. And I know one of the things I even now I make my husband laugh about. I say, you know, when my father bought us clothes, when he came back with the clothes, you know, we'd sit and then we'd do a fashion show. And then we'd be like this, and then my parents say, oh, you look nice. Wow. So even now, I do it. When I come from the shops first day, I'll be putting on the clothes and I'll be walking around for I'm like, you must be like my dad and say, wow, you look nice. Wow. So the day I come with clothes and I don't fit them, my husband says, how? You don't want to do fashion shows I'll be like, I'm too tired for that kind of life. And so you need to accept who you are. That's how you build confidence. You know, we all know media will tell us that beauty is in a certain character trait. For example, in our time or before that, like there's this thing of yellow bone. It's there everywhere. I will never be a yellow bone in my life. No matter how much I might not like myself, it will never happen. You know, I will never be in. So you need to embrace yourself and say, oh, look at this chocolate skin. You know, love your skin, love yourself, be comfortable in your skin. You know, I've got a cousin who's very, very slender. Very, very slender. Sorry about that.
Okay.
And you know, she, as much as some of us would love to be slender, for her it was a torment for her to be slender, because people will say, "Onzile, you know that thing." You know, she says that's the worst insult that you can ever give a person. Because I'm just like, was I ever fat? Why do you say no onzile? You know, and things like that.
Yeah.
So there are many things that. For you, maybe I desire, like I'm saying, maybe to be slender, and then she desires to be plump, and then we be satisfied with who you are. But obviously work on the things that you can work on. For example, so she's slender, but she can work on building muscle. You know, she really does not like to be that thin or that slender. You know, I can work on toning my body. I can just go to the gym and tone my body. But I can also just love who God has made me, find clothes that suit my body. I can't dress like this cousin because we've got two different body types. And by the way, we both like clothes. But we cannot dress the same clothes. So I believe that when you have mastered what suits your body and what works for your body, your confidence is bound to grow. You know, enhance your beauty. I'm not saying you must all wear makeup. No, it's not for all of us. Like you can wear lip gloss and wear lipstick. Because you find some women, they don't even want to wear lip gloss and lipstick. My goodness, you know, how's your confidence going to grow? Wear colors that suit you. You know, wear things that suit you. Work on, like I say, if maybe you've got a speech problem, your English maybe is not good, how do you build the confidence? Go and learn how to speak English. You go on YouTube, yes, read. You know, the police say at my practice also as well, you know, they have to read a book every month.
Wow.
That's how we learn how to speak English. That's how I learned how to write, you know, as an English third, fourth language speaker.
Wow.
So work on yourself. You have to do the work. I was listening to another speaker, I think it was an event 2 or 3 weeks ago. No, it was actually Nomza Mombata who said this. She says you have to put in the actress. Says you have to put in the work every day. You have to work on yourself every single day. And she says that's why vision boards are important, because you can see the vision. You see that I want to be an actress in Hollywood. It's there. How do I reach the steps of being an actress in Hollywood? So your vision board cannot just have an actress in Hollywood. It must have the steps on how you are working on being an actress in Hollywood.
Wow. Again, I hope you guys are learning. I hope they are learning. Take it from me, I am learning. I'm learning. And one of the things that I think I also struggled with when I was young was being dark skinned.
Yes.
And I was living mostly with people who are yellow boned.
Yes.
So everyone would just put in a word that yellow bones are beautiful. So meaning that I'm ugly in such a way. So I had to work around that. And it took time for me to actually embrace myself and be like, you know what, I'm beautiful. I can get wherever I want.
Yes.
And I'm also beautiful inside. So wow, what you're saying.
And you can enhance your beauty also by what you wear, the colors that you choose to wear, and how you carry your skin also as well. I mean, we can't all be the same. We all have our own unique features. For example, one of my former friends in high school used to torment me about I've got dark lips. She's like, you look like you smoke.
Sorry for being insensitive.
I we used to. No, don't worry. But then I realized out there that there are people who love dark lips. When I went out into the world, they're like, oh my goodness, your lips. You know, when I got to tertiary, also I'd have people that would say that, I wish I was your roommate, your voice to wake me up in the morning.
Wow.
Meanwhile, imagine all this time I thought, oh my goodness, my voice is terrible. And yeah, so you are lovable. That those people are not the ones that, determine, where you're going. They should not determine your confidence or whatever, because your traits are unique to you and they're lovable as a package also as well.
And I think there's a question around that. Someone asked, share with us beauty tips. You're always on point. so I was like, why we are on it? Let's.
Oh wow. I think for me, number one, working out, gym is really a big part of my life. I used to run a lot before 2020 and I injured my knee. A blow to me because I really enjoyed running. I was running 21-kilometer races, 35-kilometer races. Running 10 kilometers was nothing for me. And I injured my knee, unfortunately, in 2020, and I couldn't run anymore. Also picked up a little bit of weight also with that because I was not running anymore. But thank goodness, I now discovered boxing, which is also a great way to work out. So there are alternatives out there. You might not be a runner, but there are many other things that you can do. So it's working for me. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. My energy is up and my knee is no longer painful. So working out, this one cannot be said enough. Water, you need to drink water also as well. Lots of water. I do not particularly enjoy the taste of water, so I force myself to drink water. And how do I do that? First thing in the morning, I make sure I'm consuming water. So by 10, I've had my 2 liters of water, because if I leave it too long, I might not get to it. That's that. And then also, number 3, please, I love makeup, but don't sleep with makeup. You need to wash your face twice a day. You need to wash, moisturize, hydrate. So as much as I wear makeup almost every day, I need to wash my skin and let my skin breathe. So my morning routine and my evening routine also as well. And then the other thing is, know what looks good on you. I know the type of clothes that look good on me. So I will never really go for a certain type of clothes. Yes, I must dress appropriately, I must be whatever, but I know what looks good on me. And that's what helps me to be seen as always on point. I don't follow fashion trends if they're not for me. I know what's good for my body, what works for my body, what works for even the message that I want to portray to people. I want to portray a respectable woman, a woman who was well raised and so forth. So my clothes always dictate how I dress also as well. I also work with a lot of males in my industry also as well. So I tend to also be more respectful, more covered up. Hey, look, when I go to the beach, I wear bikini, okay? When I'm around the pool, I do that when the occasion. So I read the environment, I read the circumstance and so forth. Yes, and I believe in makeup, I believe in lipstick, I believe in high heels. They change your posture also as well. And that for me is how you then look on point or stay on point.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And then the last question is always the best question. You said the list for the last.
Yes, the best for last.
The best for last. Yes. So they are saying here that you've told us a lot about yourself, how you conquered the world, and how you are into running, how you overcome the challenges. But what would you want to be remembered with?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. My number one thing, I believe I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher in the sense that I impact and influence the lives of others. So I would like to be remembered as somebody who taught, not in a classroom, but through the way that I lived my life. That the next person would have learned something, whether it's about career, whether it's about marriage, or whether it's about raising kids, whether it's about caring yourself, whether it's about Christianity. I want to be a textbook where people can learn, where people can see a normal person who was raised by normal parents, but they can use that person as a reference point. I want to be remembered as somebody who, through the way I lived my life, changed and impacted the lives of others. I want to be remembered as somebody who was generous. I do my best to give my time, to give my resources, to give my energy to people. So I want to be remembered as somebody who changed life through my giving also as well. Whether I gave you a minute in my day, whether I gave you 10 rands, or whether I gave you an open door to my house or to my family, that is giving to me. So definitely I want to be remembered as somebody who impacted and influenced the lives of others, to live, for people to live better lives or to do better for themselves by watching me and by imitating, copying, learning, changing, whatever you want to call it, emanating, you know, what I am doing or what I have done in the past as well.
Wow. What a discussion we had. Once again, thank you for the opportunity.
Wow.
But before we bring to the start, I just want you to maybe tell about your practice and what it offers,
Yes.
and the kind of clients that you're looking for at the moment, and any other thing that I left out that you want to share.
Oh, wow. Before maybe I tell you about my practice, any other thing that I want to share, I listened to Amanda Nabuza about 2 weeks ago, and she's been through a lot of trauma in her life and a lot of pain also in her life. But she made a powerful statement that maybe I just want to leave with somebody out there. She says, I have nothing else to heal from. I have healed from everything that has happened in my life. What a powerful and bold statement. But I took it at that for myself, and I was so grateful that somebody has put that into words for me. Through all the challenges, the trauma, you know, the heartbreak, the heartache, and everything that I might have gone through in life, I have healed, which means I have worked through the traumas. I have worked through the pain. So there's no other work to do. It doesn't mean that there are no triggers. It doesn't mean that there are no relapses. It doesn't mean that I have overcome, but I have healed. I have done the groundwork. I have done the work in myself. So that's something that I just want to leave with somebody out there, that allow yourself to heal from everything so that there will be no more to heal from. Do the work on yourself. Self-mastery is a very important skill to have. Master yourself, master the person. And in terms of the private practice, so in my private practice, we specialize in medico-legal work, like you said, and vocational rehabilitation. So basically here we are working with lawyers and insurance companies. So the lawyers that do road accident fund claims, so people who have been injured in a road accident fund, we do those assessments for those lawyers. Also for the insurance company, say people who become sick while they're at work, they get injured, they get a stroke, they get an illness that might prevent them from working, they come to us for assessment. So we work with the big insurance companies. I won't name any names also as well. We also work with the youth. Also, those are transitioning into the career world, want to know themselves, maybe who are not so sure where their strengths are. We do also help them to be able to find their strength to overcome any academic challenges. We work with children, not specifically myself, but my therapist. They work with children.
Yeah, take note.
Yes, take note, because I do have therapists that work under me. And that those who specialize in working with children, so they specifically focus on helping children with learning disabilities, learning delays, They focus on those who have delayed milestones, so a child who's not crawling, who's not talking at a specific age, who cannot write their name when they're supposed to write their name. We work with those also as well. And we've recently also started rehabilitation, so people who are injured, people who get strokes, who get accidents and so forth, we rehabilitate them back to functioning.
Wow.
Yes, we might not be able to get them at their pre-accident or incident level of functioning, but we get them as far as possible.
Wow.
Also as well.
Wow. Wow. Once again, thank you so much. Words are failing me, but thank you so much for allowing yourself to share to these people. I'm sure all of them, they were dying.
Wow.
Especially my subscribers, they were dying to hear from you.
Wow.
And here you are, you showed up, and they are happy. I think I can see their smile. So yeah, thank you. Just on the last thoughts, I wish you can continue being the person that you are. Like you said, you are working daily and you are focusing on specific thing, and well, your qualities are actually what we young people are working towards. So thank you so much for being an inspiration to a young woman at home. So guys, if you didn't hear it with your own ears, then I don't know, maybe you need a beating. But the words are more louder than just a beating. So we've come to the end of our session, and really I would like to have her back. Why not? Beautiful. So as we are finishing off, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And goodbye.
Thank you.